Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at washingtech.com/book. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player.
Moving the needle. Welcome to the Washingtech Policy Podcast.
Curating communications, media, and tech policy news so you don't have to. News, interviews, everything you need without the axe to grind. It's the Washingtech Policy Podcast with Joe Miller.
Hackers hit the NSA and George Soros this time. Google's legal woes about email scanning continue, and Nicole Reitz-Larsen is my guest. Anonymous hackers, some experts believe have Russian ties, released a trove of tools the National Security Agency uses to exploit bugs on the internet to conduct spying operations. For years, the NSA has resisted efforts by institutions to reveal the bugs it was exploiting so they could be fixed. Now, those bugs are on full display for all the world to see. Ellen Nakashima covers this story at the Washington Post, and Andy Greenberg is covering it for Wired. Hackers believed to have Russian ties also got into billionaire George Soros and his Open Society Foundation's files last week, according to Julian Haddam at The Hill. 2,000 documents were released, giving an inside look into how the powerful Democratic supporter and his foundations operate. Google isn't out of the woods yet regarding the way it scans emails to serve up ads. Google scans not just Gmail messages, but also anyone interacting with Gmail from any domain. The plaintiffs sued Google in the Northern District of California, alleging that the company's email scanning practices violate wiretapping provisions of both the Electronic Communications Privacy Act and California's own state privacy laws. Google argued the practice is within the ordinary course of business, but U.S. District Judge Lucy Koh disagreed, ordering the case to move forward. Joe Mullen covers this for Ars Technica. It looks like internet service providers are going to have to start putting some of its users on blast for copyright infringement, even before they've been convicted of it. The U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Virginia ruled last week that Cox must pay $25 million to BMG Music for failing to notify users that they had infringed music copyrights by participating in illegal file sharing. BMG enlisted a third party to monitor Cox's users for infringement, and when it found infringement, notified Cox, but Cox then prevented its users from receiving notifications. So the court ruled Cox now owes BMG a $25 million penalty. Brian Fung has that story at the Washington Post. Univision has won the bid for Gawker Media's bankruptcy assets. Gawker announced last week it would be ceasing operations. The announcement was made after months of speculation about the fate of the company following a devastating $140 million judgment against Gawker in favor of Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan sued Gawker for posting a video showing Hogan having sex with radio personality Bubba the Love Sponge's wife. Keeping it classy, baby. Anyway, Univision's bid for Gawker's assets was $135 million, pending approval by the bankruptcy court. Lucas Alpert has a story in the Wall Street Journal. Finally, the DOJ and FTC are seeking comment on proposed rules to update the guidelines we use to license intellectual property. The comments are due September 26th. Stay with us. For Washingtech Policy Podcast listeners, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. You can listen at the gym, in the car, or on your morning run. How about Nonviolent Communication by Marshall B. Rosenberg? You can download Nonviolent Communication free by trying audible.com. Sign up for your free audiobook and 30-day trial today at washingtech.com/book. My guest today is Nicole Reitz-Larsen, a secondary classroom teacher with 15 plus years teaching experience. She's taught everything from computer science to German, multimedia, and business-related courses. She loves working with students and is passionate about equity in education and providing opportunities for all students to be successful. She works with students nationwide on the cs10k.org site and with code.org to promote the importance of computer science, assist districts in implementing computer science K-12 in schools to broaden the participation of underrepresented students of color and females. You can often find her facilitating computer science workshops nationwide, presenting at teacher conferences or meetups, because she loves working with educators to provide them with resources, teaching strategies around equity and inquiry, while creating an environment that is inclusive of all students as well as in the classroom, which she calls home. Please welcome Nicole Reitz-Larsen. Nicole, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Joe, for having me.
So tell us about when you first developed an interest in computer science. Did you start out on that path, or did you develop an interest in computer science once you'd already embarked on your teaching career?
Well, I've been teaching in Salt Lake City, Utah for about 15 years, and I got introduced to Helen, who was a college professor in Utah, and she was bringing an Exploring Computer Science initiative to Utah and asked me to help her bring that. So I started teaching Exploring Computer Science, which is for all students, and then got the interest to teach programming 1, 2, AP, and IB. And it's been great ever since. I've been trying to bring teachers along with me to convert over to computer science.
Well, you know, I should have said this from the top, but I'm so glad to have you on the show because I have a special affinity for teachers. My mother was a teacher, and you know, it's great having policymakers and researchers on the show. But everyone keeps telling me, all the researchers and policymakers keep telling me, you need to have a teacher on the show. So I'm so glad you're with me today. But tell me about what it's like in the classroom. What are some challenges you've faced? What are some of the key challenges that students face in the classroom when it comes to bridging that gap between traditional education and computer science?
Well, students really struggle with the idea that computer science is more than just coding or programming. So students don't see themselves being in that computer science class. They think it's for that certain student. So what we really try to do is make it fun and hands-on. And then we try to bring in those skills like computational thinking and problem solving, being persistent and creative. And so we help them kind of reach over those jumps or hurdles that they find hard. Another thing we do is try to make it fun by saying, hey, when we're talking about loops, that's that thing you do over and over again every day. I know that code.org does a lot of really fun videos bringing in computer science concepts with famous people like Chris Bosch teaching students about functions and shooting the basketball hoop over and over again. That's like a loop. So we try to make it something that's tangible for kids where they see themselves there, whether they're a girl, a boy, young or old. We just try to make it really exciting for them.
And so when kids come to you when they're frustrated with the curriculum, what are some of the key challenges that you find that they're having?
Some of those key challenges are students sometimes want to give up the first time that something doesn't work because they've been taught either there's one way or another. So what we've been trying to help students understand is there are multiple ways of doing something. So we do a lot of collaboration. We do pair programming where you work with another student. We have one a driver, one a navigator. So we try to help them work that out together. My policy is always ask 3, then me, hoping that when another student explains it to them, they might understand that concept better. But it's really opening up that big idea of, oh my gosh, there's lots of ways to answer this, and it doesn't matter which way it is as long as someone else can understand the way you're doing it.
And there's a shortage of computer science teachers in the United States. Melissa Raspberry and I were discussing this on a few episodes back. But you're working really hard with Melissa and others to develop computer science teachers. Can you tell us a little bit about your program and how teachers who may be interested in teaching computer science but don't currently might get involved in that?
Sure. Thank you so much for asking. A lot of teachers don't understand how much fun computer science is, and they get kind of nervous thinking it's going to be really hard to teach. And so I work with 2 different initiatives. I work with the Exploring Computer Science team out of LA, and they have a great class that has broad participation with students. It's kind of a class that has multiple topics: data, robotics, human-computer interaction, problem solving. And in that course, we really try to have teachers do a lot of hands-on activities with kids and then connect it to something that's real-world situation. I also work with code.org, where we have an initiative where we want K through 12 teachers understanding that computer science are things they already do in class. So instead of doing that handout, you always do it at PowerPoint, switch it up to a simulation or a game. And so we bring teachers into workshops that are free, where they can learn how to teach computer science. And we do it at a level where most teachers feel comfortable. We have them actually come, watch some lessons being taught, and then we actually have them demo lessons and plan with 30 other teachers. So it's really powerful where they learn how to do computer science and have a network of teachers who they can refer to for support and help.
And how supportive have parents been of the computer science initiative? Have they been involved? Were they sort of resistant to computer science at first? I've seen some surveys that show parents are not as interested in computer science, or that there's a disconnect between the administration and the parents. Can you speak to that?
Yes, sure. One thing that parents have had a hard time with is a lot of times they have stereotypes of who is a computer scientist. They see different people on TV, maybe not always doing the best of things with their computer science skills. So we've really been trying to break those stereotypes down and help parents see that computer science solves problems, and it really is about humanity. And so as we do meetups or nights for parents to come learn what computer science is and welcome them to come to a workshop with their students where they get to see some fun activities where students are problem solving to make something better, we've been able to break that stereotypes with parents. We've also done a lot of work educating counselors on who should be in computer science classes, and that should be everyone. So really trying to break some of those barriers that might stop students from entering into a classroom, and then helping superintendents and administrators see that computer science is about solving problems. It's not just about coding. And so it's taken a while to get that around, but there's a lot of great organizations like NC WIT and other places where we've been turned to help give us the support we need. And we do workshops for counselors and administrators and principals, as well as parents, to help them understand how computer science can help their students be college and career ready.
And what are some of those projects that kids really gravitate towards? What are some of the projects that you have them work on that they really say, wow, this is really interesting, and time seems to sort of pass quickly? Are there specific topics that you find them to be interested in more than others?
Yes. What's amazing is at the beginning of the year, we talk about what's a computer. And they always want to talk about the laptop in front of you or the desktop. And we help them broaden their mind to talk about, hey, the thing in your car that makes the car work, that's a computer. The coffee maker, all these things around you are computers. And so we broaden that idea of what a computer is, and we work with how you interact with computers. We always think that computers are so smart, but it's really only as smart as its user. So we help the kids understand how to talk and make computers do what they want. That's a lot of the problem solving comes in, and they love doing the robotics. Robotics really hit the kids, or making apps where students feel like they can share their work with their friends. And so those are different ways where we've been able to really hook them in, where we have some fun activities, where we actually have them act as robots. You give them silly instructions that they come up with, how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, or how to do something, and they realize that those instructions they give really aren't very well scripted. And once they learn how to script those instructions, then we tie that into, well, that's how you have to work with a computer. So those have been some fun ways we've been able to help kids in to some of those computer science concepts. And definitely the off-the-computer activities build that confidence in students so that when they get on the computer, they know what they're doing.
And have you seen any correlation between teaching computer science and their grades in other courses?
Yes. What's great about computer science is they're solving problems and they're thinking outside the box. They're using creativity, and they have to collaborate with their peers. And so it's really helped them in their math and science classes, as well as a lot of those CTE classes, making connections to real-world situations where they can use those problem-solving and critical thinking skills.
What are some of the most beneficial things that you see parents doing to help their children advance on their computer science journey?
Parents are helping students find workshops to go to or meetups where they can meet other students who are interested. A lot of parents are also encouraging their students to sign up for computer science as like a fourth level math or an extra science for those graduation requirements. Instead of taking just algebra and calculus, they're trying to mix that computer science process in. And what's great is there's been a lot of administrative support in getting computer science to count for those graduation credits. So parents feel like their students can take computer science and it's not going to hurt their GPA or hurt that pathway that they're trying to work towards.
And what are some resources that parents can use to find toys and games to enhance their children's computer science abilities?
So one great place to go to is code.org. They've got a lot of third-party resources besides their own. A lot of students really enjoy going to the Scratch website where they can do some block-based programming. And Google has done some amazing activities in their Google Education where they talk about fashion design and coding. They have girls and technology type of clubs and organizations that are free. Parents can set up a club at a school if they want to help out after school and get kids started in whatever it is they're interested in, robotics, fashion design, making apps. And you've got a lot of entities like Code.org or Google, Scratch Junior, Tinker, who want to help parents give students the opportunity in any fashion, whether it's in the classroom or after school, and it's all free.
And tell us about some of the other initiatives you're working on. And I know you mentioned them earlier, but can you tell us a bit about CS10K, the Exploring Computer Science program, and Code.org?
Yes, the Exploring Computer Science team came out of LA, and they tried to make a class that would be inclusive of all learners. And so they really reached out to all of their schools trying to get a broader participation. And I've been helping them recruit teachers to teach this class, Exploring Computer Science, where kids explore 6 different topics of computer science. The kids don't see it just as programming. What we do is we have teachers come and get trained, and they go out and work in their own schools trying to help engage students in computer science as a springboard in this exploring class to jump into some of those other classes like mobile apps, game design, or the new AP Computer Science principles. And once they've started teaching, we invite them to jump into the CS10K community of 10,000 teachers is the goal, where we have a network of teachers who are sharing ideas, they're putting up discussions, we have events. I do a lot of mentoring with the Exploring Computer Science team, and we have teachers from all over the nation trying to support each other and share these ideas. So it's a fantastic way for teachers to say, hey, I really need some help in recruiting students. What are some strategies you're using? Or I've got to work with my administrators on building this class. What are some key pitches that you've been using with your administrators? Or simply, hey, I'm teaching this lesson on binary. How can you guys help me come up with some activities that have really worked with your students? And so these different communities and initiatives are awesome in broadening that participation of teachers, which can then reach down to students, building that infrastructure to build a computer science program.
Nicole, it's been a privilege having you on the show, so thanks once again for joining me. I just want to ask you a few more questions, and then we'll close. Sound like a plan?
That sounds great.
All right. On this podcast, we like to talk about policy, but also about what makes successful people like you tick. Tell us, Nicole, what are some habits, tactics, and apps that you use every day to stay on top of your game?
Oh, wow, that's a big question. I think the biggest thing for me is to network with not only like-minded people who are into computer science, but to go out and find people who are interested and passionate about engaging learners, finding people who can be on top of their game and getting kids out in industry, finding people who can push the computer science initiative, whether it's a legislator, it's a parent, it's a principal, or a CT director, getting them to reach out and help get this computer science movement rolling. I also think that video links, podcasts, any type of mentoring that will help me make better decisions has been a resource as well. But one thing that I really try to do is just network with teachers and build their confidence. And as I work with teachers, I learn more about myself and how I can help other people.
And tell us the name of a book that you read recently that you're recommending to everyone you meet.
A book that I've worked on this summer is called Nonviolent Communication by Marshall B. Rosenberg, and it helps you work with any person. It's great ways of just speaking with people so they feel like they're understood and you engage them in conversations.
Thanks again, Nicole, for joining me. Do you have any final ideas you'd like to leave with the audience before we close? And where can folks find you online?
Oh, I would love for people to encourage all students to sign up for computer science, regardless of how old they are, whether they've tried the hour of code or not. I challenge administrators and teachers to reach out to their computer science teacher to get computer science rolling in their school. You can find me at the quick and easy email, Nicole@code.org. I'm on LinkedIn and on Twitter with Reitz-Larsen, Reitzlarsen. Thanks so much for having me.
You've been listening to Nicole Reitz-Larsen, teacher of computer science at West High School in Salt Lake City. She also serves as facilitator and mentor for the Exploring Computer Initiative and Code.org nationwide. Nicole, thanks for joining me.
Have a great day, Joe. Thank you.
That concludes episode 53 of the podcast. Thanks so much to all of you for listening. If you like what we do here, we'd love to hear from you. Please take a moment and head over to iTunes and give it a review. It helps others know what they can expect from the show and helps us out tremendously. Thanks again to all of you for listening, and I will see you back here next week. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Washing Tech Policy Podcast. You've been briefed.